Welcome to Bike Life, a podcast from the Warmshowers Foundation. Here, we celebrate our global community of touring cyclists and hosts who make life on the road unforgettable. Through stories, insights, and shared experiences, we explore the connections that fuel every journey. Whether you're pedaling across countries or welcoming travelers into your home, you're part of a movement rooted in generosity and adventure. Discover more and join the community at Warmshowers.org. Now, let's hit the road together. Hey everyone, this is Jerry Kopech, the host of Bike Life, coming to you from the Rocky Mountains of Breckenridge, Colorado. Today's episode is a good one because it reflects the heart of bike life: adventure, unexpected connection, and the lifelong friendships forged on the road. Paul and Vivien, whose solo journeys from Europe to South Africa led to an unexpected and lasting friendship when they met in Ethiopia. Their story is a powerful reminder that some of the best parts of bike touring aren't on the map. Gentlemen, welcome to Bike Life.
Hello, Jerry.
So as you know, Warmshowers is a global community, so I always like to ask, where am I finding you guys today?
So, Jerry, I'm in Burgundy right now, in my hometown, and going to live next to south part of France, close to Montpellier.
Okay, and Paul, what about you?
I'm in London, in England.
Gotcha. Okay. Now, you both started your journeys solo. Can you each share what inspired you to take on such a massive journey like this? Paul, why don't you go first?
Yeah, it was a confluence of many things for me. I'd grown up in South Africa. I'm from Johannesburg originally, and I moved to Europe when I was a teenager, and I missed bits of South African life. I wanted to explore Africa. I wanted to go on a big adventure, big cycle. I'd read Mark Beaumont's book where he cycled around the world, and that inspired me. There were a few other things as well, like I was a bit down in my job, and I'd just gone through a breakup. I wanted to have a sort of mental health reset, I suppose. So there were a few things that came together, and I thought, why not do something that's well outside my comfort zone and see if I can prove to myself that I can do it?
So you set off with a goal to go all the way down to South Africa? Like, were you thinking like Cairo to Cape or something like that?
Well, I wanted to do this journey to help another cause as well. And there's an organization in South Africa called the Black Mambas, who I raised some money for. And they work at, they're an anti-poaching group, and they're the first in the world that were all made up of female rangers.
Wow.
And so I thought this is about animals and protecting them, which I care about. It's about female empowerment, which I think is a great cause. And so I contacted them and said, would you mind if I sort of did this in conjunction with you? And they said, great. And they work in the northeast of South Africa. So that was my end point. And I thought, why not just start from my home?
Vivien, what about you?
So for me, that was, it's about travel also. My previous travel in South America, I crossed Latin America from US to Ushuaia 6 years ago. And on my way down to Ushuaia, I met a lot of cyclists on the way. They was going from Alaska to Ushuaia. There is like a big road, a cyclist road, doing that. And then I had the chance to chat with them. So a lot of cyclists who explained me them experiences on the road and crossing the hands and also South America. And it was like a huge thing for me. Like I was dreaming about it. And I was also traveling as a backpacker. And I was thinking to miss a lot of things on the road. Because as a backpacker, you are taking like a bus, train, or hitchhike. So you are passing from a point A to a point B, but you can't see anything between the point A and the point B. So that was something that I want to see. So when I was back in France, I was like, okay, so the next travel will be on a bicycle. And then I was dreaming about Africa for a few years now. And I started to make some research about cycling in Africa. And I saw a lot of stories about cyclists crossing Africa from Cairo to Cape Town.
Yeah.
And this is how the idea of crossing Africa started for me when I went back to France and started to think about the next travel.
Got it. And so I'm looking at a map, and Paul, you had to come through France. You could have just picked up Vivien on the way, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm afraid I sort of skipped France a bit. I just did Dunkirk and then immediately left.
Okay, got it. So you guys both know you're from Europe. Europe is amazing. They have amazing Eurovelo routes. But tell me how different it was once you crossed into Africa.
Oh,
well,
yeah.
You go, Vivien.
I think that all is about cultural things, and you've got this part of density of population who is going to do a big change in the travel. Like when you are cycling in Europe, you have got space to do like a campsite for everything. It's really easy to pitch your tent everywhere. When you start in Africa, it starts to be like really difficult. There is like people everywhere, and you have to manage that. And that's the first thing for me, which was a big change in this travel.
Yeah. And Paul, what do you think? I mean, you're from South Africa, so you're experienced with the African culture, but it's still it's quite a bit different. It's a shock coming from Europe, right? What was your experience like?
Yeah, it was a huge shock for me. I went from the south of Turkey, which has got a few tourists, but as Vivien said, nice big roads, wide, good surfaces, and flew across the Mediterranean to Cairo. So my very first experience of cycling in Africa was trying to get from the airport in Cairo to my hostel. Insane. So many cars all over the place, vehicles coming backwards the wrong way, donkeys. And that was the city. So I think Cairo is known for that. But outside of the cities, my sense was that you're treated like a minor celebrity, so you get a lot of attention. And as Vivien says, it's difficult to pitch a tent without sort of creating a little crowd around you. And on the roads, you also got to be careful of the quality of the roads, and a few more mechanicals occur because you've just got to watch out for bumps and things like that. So yeah, a lot more alert you have to be, but fun at the same time.
Yeah, it seems like in my experience, the most difficult part of the cycling trip is just kind of starting out, sort of getting your wheels rolling, getting out of the city, getting away from the airport or whatever. But it seems like once you kind of roll out into the more rural areas, everything sort of calms down, it becomes more relaxing, the people become more engaging and more welcoming. Is that what was it? Did you feel that way too?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that the place I felt least comfortable was always the extremities of a city where things are moving fast and cyclists aren't really taken care of. Inside the city, you're probably either walking or exploring. You're not really doing a lot of journeying. But you're right. As soon as you leave that sort of frenetic pace, then it's nice villages. You stop and have a chat to people. You have really nice interactions.
So, Vivien, how did you guys actually meet in Ethiopia?
In Ethiopia, so for me, I was in a town named Sodo.
Okay.
And in the morning, I wake up and I received like a text from a WhatsApp group that we was using with Paul. It was a WhatsApp group with all of the cyclists crossing East Africa. And one of the guy was asking who is going to be close to the Moyale border in Kenya. It's the border from Kenya to Ethiopia. And I was close to this border, and Paul also. And Paul was answering to the text, saying, "Here, I'm in Harbour Beach today, and I'm gonna be probably in Moyale in a few days. So I keep in touch with you." And the thing is, from Sodo, I was going next to Harbour Beach. So I was like, "Oh, there is someone in Harbour Beach right now, and I can probably meet him in today. Actually, at the end of the day, if I'm good." So I started to contact Paul on WhatsApp, starting to catch up Arbraminch. And then, Paul asked me, told me that he was staying for one more night in Arbraminch, so he will be there tonight. And this is how we met in Arbraminch in Ethiopia.
And
so
how long? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
How long had you been cycling for when you decided to meet up with Paul? Like how many days, weeks, months?
I was cycling for 6 months in this point.
Okay.
And Ethiopia was one of the most difficult parts of crossing Africa, and it was very good and nice to meet Paul on the way in this country.
And Paul, how long had you been on the road for? Similar time?
About 4.5 months, I think.
Okay. Yeah, similar. So you guys have both been riding solo, and you met up, and it's like, hey, it'd be cool to meet up with someone who speaks the same language, comes from the same place. And how did you decide to ride together?
The decision was made like that was obvious. I don't know.
Yeah, it was easy.
It was so easy. I mean, at the beginning, Paul left Arbraminch the next day, and I was staying in Arbraminch for a rest, for 1 day off. And then Paul told me, we just keep in touch and let's see, maybe we're going to meet later in this travel. So let's keep in touch. And the thing is, my next move was, I don't remember the tone of the next move, but I met again Paul over there because he did it in 2 days and I did it in 1 day. So we meet again in this town, and then we decided to cycle together for a month.
Yeah. And did you guys find that cycling together, did you have to change your routines? Did you cycle at a similar speed? Did you eat at the same times? Like how did your experience change going as a duo? Hey, Paul?
Yeah, so Vivien mentioned there that he caught up to me, and I think for me it was a bit of a change because he's a lot fitter than I am. And so, climbing those hills, I really appreciated him pushing up and leading me and making me focus and get up those big hills. I thought Vivien was very organized with taking on water and eating at the right times. I'd been a bit lackadaisical about that, a bit wishy-washy. So he was doing a lot more miles than I was typically in a day. So I had to up my game, and I appreciated that. And he kept me healthier. And what I really enjoyed about it, and I think what made it easy for us, was there was so much to see in Ethiopia, and most of our time was in Kenya together. There's so much to see all the time. I felt like conversation was easy. We were pointing out things on the side of the road. We were sharing experiences like what it was like to go through Ethiopia, which I agree with Vivien was a really tough country to be in sometimes. So we had lots to talk about. The conversation flowed. The times we would eat were roughly the same. The kind of places we wanted to stay in were roughly the same as well. So it was just really easy. I think we were very lucky that our styles were quite similar.
So, quick question. I've also cycled solo through a number of countries, but I also cycled with friends or a partner. And several years ago, I met a couple from Switzerland, and we decided to cycle together. And my experience was significantly different from a kind of social experience perspective, meaning when I was cycling solo, it seemed like I was more outgoing, more kind of interested in meeting people. When I was with somebody, I sort of had this connection, this unit, this entity, and I was less likely to be social. Did you guys find like you were less socially outgoing or kind of the same?
No, kind of the same actually for me.
Okay.
Yeah,
I agree.
It didn't change this kind of thing with me, but and we was sharing a lot and everything. Like Paul is a good spotter, and when we was crossing north part of Kenya, we saw a lot of animals, and sometimes Paul was stopping on the road and just show me, animals, birds, and a lot of things, and that was so nice. And that was not a wall with the people what we met also on the road. Basically, we had the same social life. I mean, with the locals and the other people that we met on the road.
I totally agree, and it was just, I think we added to each other because I got to see people interact with a guy with long hair. They loved his long hair, so I got to see what that was like. We got to film each other as well. I hadn't done much self-filming, which my family was saying I needed to do more. We got to share different foods that we'd found that the other one hadn't. So there was a lot of kind of bonus stuff, I think.
So that's really good to hear that it didn't really change your rhythm. You cycle at the same pace or of similar pace. You kind of like to do similar things. What made you guys decide to eventually part ways? Just different routes?
Yeah.
Vivien will tell you. So yeah, we had a lovely time heading towards Christmas of 2023, I think. And we had a lovely Christmas dinner, just the two of us, in a little town just north of Nairobi. And then
the equator, yeah.
Yeah, around the equator, yeah. And then we got to Nairobi and celebrated the end of the year at a big end of the year party in Nairobi. So that was quite fun. And we made quite a few friends at a hostel there. And then we just had different routes. I needed to go fairly quickly down in a sort of straight line to where I wanted to be. And I think, Vivien, you had much more cycling to do.
Yeah, I wanted to see the area of the big lakes. So I went through Uganda and Rwanda and more west part of Africa. Yeah.
So, Paul, give me some of your favorite places. Like, was there a country that you were really looking forward to seeing, or a place that you were sad to leave because it was so incredible? What was one of your favorite countries?
Turkey was probably my favorite,
which is not in Africa.
I was yeah. It was a surprise. I knew I was going to spend a lot of time in Turkey, and I didn't want to go through the center climbing all the mountains. I'm a bit lazy, so I just stuck by the coast. But I also knew that the coast would be beautiful.
Yeah.
And it really was. I loved the food in Turkey, the people, the weather was great at that time. So I had a lot of great experiences there, like toasting marshmallows out of methane vents from the earth, and just being in beautiful old historical towns and things like that. I love going to the great the national parks like the Serengeti and the Mara and the Kruger Park in South Africa. That's where my heart is. So yeah, the heart of Africa really gripped me when I was going through.
How was it when you finally got back to South Africa, or the place where you were from? Was that pretty emotional?
It really was. People say when you're preparing for a trip around Africa, aren't you scared? And I wasn't really, to be honest. I don't know why. I just never felt that scared. I always felt like I'm from Africa. I can handle it. The one country I was nervous about was South Africa, because Joburg is known for its assaults, and it's quite a dangerous city. So I was nervous about going back to my old place, but instantly I saw the smiles on the faces of the border guards who were just curious to talk to me. I relaxed, and I realized, I am from this country, even though I perhaps don't look like it. My heart is, part of it is still there, and I really loved it.
That must have been amazing. Vivien, what country did you really love, or were you looking forward to seeing along your trip?
I could say Mozambique.
Mozambique
one, yeah. Mozambique was so nice. The people, people were so nice with me along the way. They helped me a lot to find water, to find food, to host me a lot. Also, I had some amazing experience hosting by locals, and this is why I wanted to live in this trip, to be in contact with people, and this is the perfect country to do it.
Interesting. And what kind of landscape do you prefer? It sounds like Paul doesn't love the mountains, the Alps. He likes the coastal stuff. Vivien, what about you?
I love mountains.
Yeah.
Even if it's painful, I really like it. When I crossed the Alps, that was at the beginning of my trip. That was amazing. It was like I crossed the Alps for 4 days. It was so high, so you have to push every day, but the landscapes and everything was breathtaking. So that was amazing.
So this is a question I like to ask, and for any trip of your length, things inevitably go wrong. Was there ever a time when you thought like, wow, how am I going to get out of this one? Vivien, anything like that?
In some parts of Ethiopia, that was pretty difficult. You
mentioned Ethiopia, both of you. Is there a story about Ethiopia that you want to share?
Don't know, well, I did get food poisoning, and I spent some time in a hospital in Ethiopia. I guess when you read reports about cyclists going around Ethiopia, you often hear about the tensions in the villages, and strangers are not always that welcome, and the kids throw stones and things like that. I think one or two times we had a bit of aggression towards us. I know there was one time in Ethiopia I was climbing a hill, and a school ended for the day, so all the kids rushed out and they saw me, and we had one of these things that Vivien ended up calling a you party, which we used to love, because the kids would run out and say you. So we had a bit of a you party, and I found it a bit difficult to get sympathy for my stomach pains that I was having at the time. But I think in general we helped each other in Ethiopia to sort of be not so isolated. I think it was nice to share some of the intensity of the country. I mean, Ethiopia generally is a very interesting country, but they've had a rough history with tensions between tribal regions. So it's a bit difficult. Cyclists are not that common there. I think if you'll allow me to tell one quick story
Absolutely.
In Kenya, my possibly one of my shocks and ones I wasn't sure about getting out of was I'd misjudged my timing to get from one side of Amboseli National Park to the other, and I was cycling outside the park. I wasn't allowed to go through. Obviously, there are lions and hyenas and things inside. But I ended up cycling in the dark. Really bad idea. And the guide said to me, "You have to take a motorcyclist in front of you, otherwise you're going to get lost." So I said, "All right." So we were going really fast in the dark. I was following this guy, and I didn't see a rock. Smacked it. Went head over heels. It bent my front wheel. But 2 minutes before, my torch from my head had shown a hyena about 20 meters from the road. So I suddenly realized, oh my goodness, am I going to get attacked here? Luckily, the guy realized I wasn't following him, came back, and I said, "Can you just protect me from the lions, please?" Because in Kenya, they have no fences around the national parks. It's all open. And he said, "Don't worry. If the lion attacks, it will eat me first."
Why?
It was just his way. Like he's a Maasai warrior. It's his ground. He's going to protect me. I mustn't worry. And I was like, "Please watch out for the lions." When I was trying to fix my wheel. So I was a bit under stress there. In the end, it was fine. One of his mates came over with another motorbike. My broken bike went on his, and I carried all my rucksacks with him, and we made it. But wow,
sounds harrowing. I had a similar notion. I was traveling through Zambia, Zimbabwe, and also Botswana a number of years ago. And for some reason, I stupidly, naively thought I could just cycle through one of the parks. And I pulled up to the gate in the guard shack, the person who was in there, and I said, "Hey, can I cycle down this road? It's tarmac, it's straight, it's flat." He's like, "No, you can't cycle through a park. There's elephants here." I was like, "I don't see any elephants." And he turns, and he points, and there's this herd of elephants right there. He's like, "Elephants can kill you." Like, okay, good. I will go around. Sorry about that. But he did say like you could wait around and hitch a ride on the back of a Jeep or something like that. I was like, I really want to ride. So, stupid American, thought I could get away with this thing. It's like, I had no idea. But I didn't quite see hyenas anywhere like you did. So bravo, I guess.
Just normal for their lives, I think.
It's for sure.
Yeah, we don't realize what it's like.
Yeah, Vivien, did you have any interesting animal encounters throughout Africa?
Yeah, elephant. Yeah. I got this story in Botswana. I was riding up this nice road, straight line, and then there was like an elephant, like pretty close to the road, and I passed next to the elephant, but it was like 5 meters from the elephant, and I was thinking, yeah, that's fine, I can do it. I'm going to push, and that's fine. But the elephant hear me and start to turn, and then start to follow me. on my way back. So I had to decide, okay, what to do now. So I went back for 200 meters.
Yeah.
It was thing follow me. So to be back again, and then a truck came just in front of me and started to escort me to from the elephant. So that was quite scary as an experience.
Yeah, it's I mean, in Europe and in North America, we have animals, but it's different than seeing elephants or hyenas in the wild, right? Like I think
you don't realize the danger of the animals then when you are in front of it, actually.
Yeah, I remember I was worried about lions or things like that, and what I was told is that elephants were much more severe of a danger than lions were. So, as you guys know, Africa is huge. Your trip was huge. Biking, what you guys did is no small task. I've spent some time biking through Africa and also Asia, and it seemed like the one common thread that really drew me to this experience was what I call the human experience. So the landscapes, the cultures, the foods, sure, they're all incredible, but it was really the people that made it the most interesting. Vivien, why don't you go first and tell me about like a really great experience you had with some of the local people in one of the countries.
In one of the countries, so that was in Mozambique for sure. So I had to join Zambia from Mozambique, from the city of Tete, so north part of Mozambique. And to reach the border of Mozambique, it was like something 300, 400 kilometers. And there was like nothing on the way. No city, nothing to sleep or whatever. So I have to adapt myself to find water, to find food on the way, like in the small shops, and to ask to the locals for water. And then, every night I have a place to pitch my tent because there was just giving me a space to pitch the tent. Like I used to go to the church usually or the school, and that was the nice spot to have a place to pitch the tent. But it was something like just natural, to give you a place to sleep and food and the shower also sometimes. So this part of Africa, I mean, the north part of Mozambique was just good experience and good vibes with the locals.
And Paul, what about you?
Maybe you had the same experience, Jerry, but the sort of 4 o'clock thunderstorm in Africa in the rainy season. When it comes, there's nothing you can do. You just got to get out of the rain and wait for it to stop. And I got stuck in that once in the middle of nowhere, and I just needed some shelter. I was in a village in Malawi, and I went to a shop and went under the cover, and it was owned by the chief of the village, the shop, and his name was Chief Bandawe. And he said to me, we're chatting, and I said, look, I need a place to stay. Can you just give me a shelter that I can put my tent? And he absolutely would not accept it. He insisted I come and stay with him. It was his honor. And so he did. He invited me to his house through his tobacco field, and they boiled some water for me so I could have a warm sort of hand shower. They cleared out one of the rooms that one of their family was sleeping in so I could sleep there. They cooked me a special meal, and they allowed me to eat by myself because they thought that was more respectful than to join them. I would have loved to join them, but that was their way of showing respect. And then the next day, all the kids from the village came and chatted, and I stayed in touch with the son of the family over WhatsApp. And we recently talked about some drought and some floods that they've been having there, both extremes. It's a real tough connection, but I feel like they did such a lot for this random bearded stranger. I felt very honored by their friendliness and generosity.
Yeah, isn't that amazing? Just the curiosity, the compassion, the empathy. Like there was no fear. There was like no stranger danger. They saw this person who needed help, and they didn't even think, like, of course, we're going to help. We're going to offer you a place to sleep. We're going to offer you food. Yes, come into our home. It's, I think that's, in my experience, it's been one of the really magical parts about bicycle touring. I mean, you think about, I think as Vivien mentioned earlier, or maybe you did, Paul, that you can take a bus, you can take a plane, you can still end up at those places. But when you go slow, when you travel by bike, look at all these people that you meet, these experiences that you would otherwise have missed.
That makes the difference, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So
it's a lot more human. You really feel like you're experiencing the country properly.
Yeah. And so with a big trip like this, traveling by bike it's transformative. Do you think that this trip has changed you in any profound way? You, Paul?
There is one thing that I have carried with me in a sort of transformational way, and it's actually down to Vivien. And when we were going up big hills and he would go ahead of me and I'd get stuck and I'd have to like motivate myself and get into that positive mental space. And I got to the top and I was like, how do you just keep going, again and again with all, how do you manage to fight the negative thoughts and keep struggling? And he says, oh, I don't know. I just tell myself, just keep moving. And that simple 3-word phrase weirdly stuck with me throughout the rest of my journey. And so I had Vivien's voice in my ear when I was climbing all those mountains in Tanzania. By then I was solo again, but I just thought, okay, Vivien said, just keep moving. So I'm going to do that. And now in my life, when I have a struggle at work or, if I'm taking a long journey, I just think, okay, every day, just keep moving. You do one small activity that gets you generally in the right direction, and that's fine. And it'll have a kind of snowball effect. Yeah. So yeah, I have him to thank for that.
That is good. Vivien, did you pick up anything from Paul or just from your journey in general?
Yeah, I mean, the perception of the fear changed for me also. Like I was really afraid about animals, about going to the desert also at the beginning of the trip. And all of those points just passed away. I mean, there was nothing that much, how you said, so scary, that was just in my head. So yeah, the perception of my fear changed on the way, all along the way. And how you relax on the bicycle, how you start to manage the bad situation also. So everything of that just changed myself.
All right. So you guys are both back home. Have you guys talked about another trip together?
We haven't planned a trip yet. We did try to see each other in France, but unfortunately, the weather and things like that got in the way. But we've definitely talked about meeting up again. Vivien's invited me to his home in France, so I might come and do a hike together or a quick cycle together or something like that. But yeah, definitely meeting up again.
Could be fun, yeah, for sure.
I mean, it sounds like you're in the Alps, right, Vivien? Or just outside?
Yeah, outside now. It was just for the winter season, but I will be back in the next winter, I think.
Yeah, I love it. Well, gentlemen, I want to thank you both for making some time for me today. And if people want to follow along with your journeys, find out what you're up to, is there a way for them to connect with you both?
Yeah, sure.
How is that, Vivien? How can people find you?
You can find me on Instagram, social media, with my name and Vivien Metairie.
Got it. And we'll have all these links in our show notes. What about you, Paul?
Yeah, I documented it on Instagram, so I can put my handle there as well, Jerry.
Got it. Well, gentlemen, I want to thank you both for tuning in today and sitting with me. And I want to thank everyone else for joining our conversation today as well. And if you enjoyed our show, give us a like, a share on your social channels, or maybe just tell your friends. These stories hopefully will inspire you to set off on your own bicycle adventure and maybe make the world feel a little bit smaller, one pedal stroke at a time. My name is Jerry Kopak, and until the next time, keep the wheels rolling and the stories coming. Thanks for joining us on Bike Life. I'm Jerry Kopak, and I hope you enjoyed today's episode as much as we enjoyed sharing it with you. Please leave us a rating and review, or just tell your friends. This helps us reach more cyclists and hosts around the world. To learn more or become part of this amazing community, visit us at Warmshowers.org or follow us on Instagram at Warmshowers_org. If you'd like to be a guest on the show or have a question you'd like us to explore, email us at podcast@warmshowers.org.